What's up, guys? Welcome back to your realestate101.com. Now, today we're going to talk about things that can cause you to harm your own real estate business, even go bankrupt if you don't mind some of these things. Now, the thing about real estate is that it is almost dummy proof. I mean, it is solid. It is one of those businesses that can weather any storm, and it can just take in and take in. It's way better than any other business like restaurants and all these other things where you kind of have to do all this daily managing. You can manage at your will. You can manage hard, you can manage soft, you can be a passive investor, you can have someone else manage for you. But there are some things that you do not want to happen while you own your properties. Now, I want to stop here. If you have not already, please smash that like button and also turn on notification, and that is assuming you have already subscribed. So if you didn't subscribe, you definitely want to subscribe right now. Please subscribe. So let's get into this thing. Now, my number one is over renovating apartments. The problem here is we can over renovate apartments easily. We're watching HGTV, we're looking at some higher end apartments, and sooner or later we just want to do the same thing. Next thing you know, you find yourself in front of a 6-burner cooktop for $4,000. This makes you feel good. You are feeling like you are the best landlord and you are good to your tenants. But here's the problem. Things change really quickly once that tenant breaks that cooktop and cannot pay for it. You see, the point here is that you have to know the class of tenants you are dealing with. The financial class, right? If you can't put something that they cannot pay back easily or you cannot fix easily. You have to be very careful. We all have done this. I've made this mistakes thousands of times where I put a beautiful something. In fact, the cooktop that I mentioned, well, it wasn't $4,000, but I did put a cooktop in one of my apartments, and the tenant had a huge family. She came in, she brought a big pot down right on it, just dropped it, boom, and cracked the glass. And guess what? She could not afford it at all. In fact, she even moved out because she was kind of scared that she was going to have to pay for it, and she just moved out. So that gives you an idea of what you don't want to do. You don't want to over renovate because that can cause you a lot of trouble. But also, you don't want to take too long renovating too. So this brings me to my second one. The number 2 is empty / taking too long to turn over an apartment. Now, this one is pretty straightforward. The apartment's empty. You're not collecting money. You're still paying taxes, bills like that. So you don't want to keep your apartment empty. That is just like rule 101. You don't keep your apartment empty. You want to turn over apartments in weeks and less than a month. You want to have the tenant for that apartment before the last tenant leaves. The current tenant's moving out, you already have someone or two lined up. That is good business. But you do not want empty apartments. That will just kill you straight up. Okay? All right. Number 3, a paying bad tenant. Yes, a paying bad tenants. I know that sounds a little weird, but imagine a tenant that's just bad, whatever bad is to you. And let's say they are damaging stuff or they're just doing things, right? But here's the thing. Or maybe they're selling drugs or whatever they're doing. But here's what makes a paying bad tenant bad. Number 1, it sends the wrong message. It can send a message to the neighborhood, the area, other tenants to say, listen, this is who this landlord accepts. It's okay to be bad in this property. Now, the problem is this. Your neighbor's going to have troubles with you. You're going to have issues. And then on top of it, they may even bring in other people who want to live there that are also bad because, again, it's an advertising, right? But here's the thing. It also keeps away good tenants. If you had good tenants in the property, then guess what? They're probably moving out. And good tenants will not want to move in once they see who you're rented to. Okay? So these are some of the things that a paying bad tenant can do. And also, I want to point this out. A lot of times when people use the word slumlord, This is a very close connection to the word why it comes out, because usually you have a bad tenant, maybe they're doing something wrong, destroying something, whatever, but what they're doing is they're paying, so the landlord keeps them and continues to keep them, and then the whole area becomes worse and worse and worse, and then the landlord still makes money, so he's happy and the tenant's happy because the landlord leaves them alone, but the whole neighborhood's not happy, and maybe even the cops are not happy. So anyway, number 4, a non-paying bad tenant. Yeah, basically the non-paying bad tenant is kind of like the tenant before, but now you have to add that this tenant is not even paying you rent. So on top of all the issues that this tenant is doing, they are also not paying you. That means that you're paying for their water. If everything's included, you are double screwed, because now you're paying for their electricity, their heat. You're paying for all these things, and guess what? They're rude. They're selling drugs. They're destroying your place. They're doing things. They're calling codes on you. Just the worst. This is the worst. So you don't want that. This is even worse than an empty apartment, because guess what? Not only are you're not collecting any money, you still have to pay bills, and you got to deal with someone who's probably a nasty person. Okay, so this is number 4. Number 5. The number 5 is, I have to go there, the moratorium. Okay, the reason why the moratorium could be the death, and you will see it is the death for many, many landlords, especially the mom and pop landlords, is because you have to deal with everything we mentioned. However, you cannot kick them out. So if you have a tenant who's bad, whether they're paying or not paying, you cannot kick them out. See, number 5 is really the government, when the government keeps getting involved, making the rules a little harder for people to kick people out, especially when they're bad tenants. You see, the thing is this: if you can't kick these people out, you can't kick them out. That's it. That means that if they're selling drugs, they're selling drugs. Maybe if you're lucky, the cops will come get them. But even the cops are sometimes being defunded, or the cops are kind of looking the other way because of Corona. They don't want people to get sick inside their apartment, or whatever it may be. But the point is this: this is a killer for a rental business. And that's also, for some of you, this will be an opportunity, because you're going to find a lot of opportunity coming up where you can go and just find properties that landlords are going to want to give away. But at the same time, this could be the death for many landlords, especially, like I said, the mom and pop, who are going to be struggling to pay their mortgages, or who have been struggling to pay their bills already. Now, I want to point out something. We're not talking about tenants who work at some place and then they got laid off or stuff like that. These are not the people we're talking about. We're talking about people who took advantage of the situation. They hiding behind the government, and the government has no intentions of helping them, even though the government made it easy for them to not pay rent. These are people who are kind of like scumbags sometimes, most of the time, and their goal is only to live for free, take advantage, and go on with it like that. Okay, so anyway, those are my top 5 things that could be the death of your rental business. So be careful, be mindful, make sure you are watching your business closely, especially right now in these times. Don't let anything pass. Don't have your brain caps on, okay? And also, if you guys have not, please subscribe, like, share, comment below. If you have any questions, please ask, and let's start a conversation.